5 rounds into 2025, McLaren hasn't merely been fast, they've been a step beyond reach. 4 wins from 5 starts, purple sectors in Melbourne and Sakir, and a growing gulf on Sunday afternoons have forced every rival into crisis meetings. The whole world saw the papaya orange cars dart away, but almost nobody noticed the sculpted carbon black chambers tucked behind their front wheels. Those chambers, not some headline-grabbing rear wing or secret fuel blend, are the silent difference makers. In a championship measured in hundredths, they've redrawn the limits of tyre temperature control and may already have written the season's final chapter. Engineers at Mercedes and Ferrari keep staring at Friday data, convinced McLaren's edge must be shrinking. Qualifying figures encourage that hope. At both Bahrain and Suzuka, George Russell and Charles Leclerc slipped within 0.2 of Oscar Piastri, but the illusion shatters on lap 6. At Sakir, Piastri built a 6.1-second cushion before the first safety car, then repeated the feat after the restart as though time had rewound. In a damp but drying Melbourne, Lando Norris reeled off laps a full second quicker than anyone on intermediates that refused to blister. The stopwatch hints at marginal gains. Race stints expose a chasm. Something inside those wheel rims extracts heat with surgical precision. Strip the tyre away and a modern F1 front corner resembles a high-tech nesting doll. At its heart, a carbon disc spins, peppered with thousands of cooling holes and glowing at 1000 Celsius when Q3 ends. Clamped against it, 6 piston calipers and wafer-thin pads, each with its own ceramic coating, slide outward, and you meet the cake tin, a carbon drum that shields the assembly from turbulent oncoming air. Finally, the stack sits inside the wheel, drawing breath through a narrow inlet beside the wishbone. Every team wrestles with the same balancing act, feed just enough fresh air to stop the calipers from soaring past 200 Celsius, but not so much that tyre cores plummet below grip-making range. Most outfits accept compromise. McLaren rejected compromise and started again on a blank KD screen. Woking's engineers divided the cake tin into overlapping carbon segments that locked together like fish scales. They carved pencil-thin tunnels between layers and lined them with micro-texture ridges that accelerate airflow. A rectangular aperture, left exposed even with the wheel fitted, funnels high-speed air directly across the caliper's hottest face. From there, the stream forks. One branch hugs the disc's outer edge, bleeding heat into a scavenging duct. The other dives between carbon scales, re-emerging through vents etched toward the rear. The double flow creates a low-pressure pocket that literally sucks extra warmth away while insulating the tyre shoulder from radiant heat. Imagine a carbon fibre thermos bottle, except the aim is not to keep soup warm, but to chill a metal rotor in the middle of a 330 km/h braking zone. Sensors show rotor temperatures plateauing around 620 Celsius, a sweet spot that stabilizes pad bite and feeds predictable heat into the tyre tread. Crucially, that tread receives warmth in a smooth metered stream rather than violent spikes that spike pressure. Bahrain's night race roasted tyres under 38 Celsius asphalt, and most strategists warned drivers to avoid front left blistering by lap 10. Piastri and Norris never lifted. Their mediums stayed pristine, pressures steadied inside a 2 psi window, and the pair sprinted at quali pace long after others dialed back. Melbourne flipped the script: cool ambient, greasy surface, and a drying line that punished anyone who overheated intermediates. McLaren toggled flaps that restrict airflow through the layered tin, trading maximum cooling for a controlled warm-up. Result? Green-painted temperature strips on Pirelli shoulders stayed intact while red segments on rival cars flaked. Data leaked from GPS traces suggests the MCL39's tyre core delta, the spread between hottest and coolest regions, is up to 12 Celsius lower than Mercedes and Ferrari. Over 10 laps, that means gentler degradation, flatter pressure curves, and the freedom to push when others lock into conservation mode. A front brake package isn't a bolt-on bargeboard. The tin, ducts, caliper mounts and wheel must satisfy weight, stiffness and heat soak rules, pass FIA non-destructive tests, and survive 4G curb impacts. Redesign one part and steering arm cooling, suspension kinematics, even aerowake behind the tyre can shift. Ferrari staff hint they could machine an aluminium prototype in 2 weeks, but switching to race-grade carbon and validating durability would push first use to late autumn. Mercedes faces a tighter cost cap ceiling. Every hour spent in the brake dyno bunker steals resource from the 2026 ground effect reset. For Aston Martin or Alpine, building new tooling now risks writing off the final third of the season. McLaren therefore enjoys an invisible moat. The tech is legal, but too late for others to mirror without kneecapping next year's car. Cooling airflow is a double-edged sword. During a one-lap run, colder discs delay peak bite and push brake balance forward, costing a whisper of rotation at turn-in. Rivals recapture that margin by opening ducts and running spicier camber they'll never sustain over a stint. On Sundays, McLaren narrows its inlet, sacrifices a hint of initial braking fire, and receives tyre nirvana in return. Rotors hover below 650 Celsius, tread temps stay married to 105 Celsius, and engineers can trim wing angle because they're no longer nursing rubber. The car looks merely competitive in Q3, then morphs into a metronome after 10 laps. Expect the script to repeat. Poles scattered among 3 teams, Sunday trophies painted papaya, points count on Sunday, and 5 rounds hint at a runaway. If Piastri keeps stacking victories while others divide podium scraps, the constructors' race could be mathematically over by Singapore. The driver picture feels equally ominous. Oscar could dethrone Max Verstappen as the youngest champion since Vettel. The dominoes extend beyond silverware. Contract whispers suggest 2 headline names have inserted McLaren exit clause language into fresh deals, spooked their current outfits can't replicate Woking's brake wizardry before 2026. Suppliers too have noticed. A leading brake disc manufacturer has quietly doubled its research budget for multi-layer tins. This tech might live for just one more season, yet its ripple effect will shape the grid for years. In a sport obsessed with swooping wings and horsepower headlines, McLaren proved domination can hide in a cavity no larger than a coffee mug. Their layered brake drum didn't simply cool discs, it transformed tyre temperature into a strategic weapon, rewriting the calculus of stint management. Rivals now face an uncomfortable choice: pour millions into reverse engineering tech that could be obsolete under next year's regulations, or concede 2025 and bet everything on the incoming rules revolution. Whichever route they pick, the season already feels like a masterclass in how microscopic engineering choices swing entire championships. Years from now, we may look back on 2025 not just as McLaren's crowning campaign, but as the moment Formula One learned that sometimes the fastest path to victory runs through a whisper of chilled air hidden behind a spinning wheel.